Hi, this is Lisa from Lux Perennials Nursery. We're going to look at two things in this video. How to clean up the perennials that have been blooming for the last few months, and some of them need to be deadheaded. And if you're worried about your fuchsias or your salvias or some of those summer bloomers and whether they're okay from the winter, I'm going to show you that too. Let's take a look. First, let's look at cleaning up some of our perennials. So you might think, wow, it's only June, they've started blooming, but these guys have been blooming for over 2 months now. That's Wallflower. This beautiful Sweet William is just coming. And the Centranthus has been blooming for probably at least 6 weeks. The Geum have been blooming over 2 months also. You can let them keep going, it's no problem. The Geum especially, you can prune it back and trim if it's got some stray pieces. And where do you prune Geum? So you can prune it if you have a spent, here's some spent flowers. That's the spent flower. It actually looks pretty cute even when it's spent, but you just want to prune it. If you can see here, take the whole stem out right there. See that whole stem? So you can just take the whole thing down to the base or close to the base and just leave all those beautiful flowering stems and look at all the buds still coming. It's just going to be blooming prolifically for a while. But now is a good time if you want to do a little cleanup to just kind of trim off just the outside edges and any of those spent flowers. Same thing with the Jupiter's beard, the Centranthus rubor or red valerian. Still looking beautiful, but if you zoom in close, see this one here? This is spent. And if you'll just trim off some of those, then what you're gonna have is a lot more buds like that one and flowers with this deep pink. So just keep trimming off as they fade. They start dark red, pink like this, and then they slowly, as they open and bloom, they become much more light pink, and that's when you really want to kind of take them off to keep them blooming all season. Just keep doing that. I get a lot of questions on the Wallflower, this beautiful Wallflower. This is evergreen. When do you prune it? Look, it's still blooming, but see how it's just blooming right there on the top. And it's got this long stem with little stubs. It starts blooming from the bottom. So if it's got a long stem like this, it's got this long stem, it's pretty much done. So if it's just got a little thing on the top, then you can just take it all the way, see right to there. Again, you're cutting off that long, can you see that there, the long stem? Just cut that off. So there'll be a lot fewer blooming stems, but trust me, you're gonna really want to do that because see these guys, like this guy right here, he's just starting. He doesn't have a long stem with lots of little empty blooms. You're just gonna really encourage the plant to keep blooming like that and produce a lot more flowers. So now's a good time to prune those, bloom and cut them back. We do a lot of hardy fuchsia in the garden. They're so beautiful. They start blooming in June and they go through July, August, September, October, sometimes into November. This is pretty early for them to bloom. Look at them, they're so beautiful. And if you're not seeing your fuchsia come up yet, well, it may still be coming. So some of my fuchsia are up and beautiful like this, and they have some twiggy growth on top. You can just snip off all those dead looking stems. And in fact, now's the time that if you want to make your plant more compact, or if it's a little bit leggy or straggly, this guy's actually pretty good. We're just gonna do a very light trim on some of the brown stems there, like this one. So, like that. So just trim that back. It's got lots of flower buds on top, so we don't want to prune those off. But you can. It's going to bloom prolifically. And if you want your shrub more compact, go ahead and just trim all that off. It's still going to produce more flowers. It'll bloom beautifully, so don't worry too much about pruning fuchsia. Your fuchsia might look like this with a lot of these brown stems. You might think there's a problem. It's really not. They usually do this. They just do this over winter. A lot of times I prune my fuchsias all the way to the ground or almost to the ground, maybe 6 inches, because it doesn't have any growth on top. We had a mild winter, so most of my fuchsias are growing even from the very tops. So I never prune my fuchsia in the fall, ever. I just leave all the woody stems up. And in spring, not even spring, late spring, like I wait till May, I wait to see where is it growing. And then I can just trim the dead stuff off around it versus, you know, not knowing how it's gonna grow or if it's gonna grow from the base or whatever. One thing I'm not pruning now is the Candelabra primula. So you can see it had these beautiful reddish pink flowers, and I have a little woodland garden of them here. And I'm not pruning that because I'm letting it set seed, drop the seeds, and then spread around a little bit around this pretty shady garden. Here's some of the Geum. This is totally tangerine. Look at its beautiful flowers. That's already been pruned. Turns out the deer pruned that one for me, which was really not welcome. But in fact, they did a nice job, and all the new flower buds are coming. And I sprayed it with stinky deer spray, so they haven't really touched the buds since. This is Catmint. It's hard to see how beautiful it is. It doesn't really photograph as well as I'd like, but it's a beautiful light purple. It looks so gorgeous with like dark pink flowers and coral and things like that. Even this beautiful magenta clematis right behind it. So pretty with that. This guy will get a little bit leggy. It's going to stay pretty upright like you can see, but if it starts to get leggy on the sides, just clip down these sides like this and take some of that off and just leave all the upright growth. And again with this guy, when the flowers are spent, and it's been blooming for about 6 weeks now, when the flowers are mostly spent and brown, you can really just cut them kind of farther down the stem. In fact, you can really just shear this plant off completely. You don't need to snip each one. Just take hedge trimmers or big pruners and just cut the whole thing back all at once. Saves time, and then you can, it'll just bloom again from the base. You can cut it down to about 1 foot tall, and this normally is about 2.5 feet tall. I showed you some of my fuchsias that are already up and budded and even starting to bloom. Now I'll show you some that aren't. So I've been waiting for these fuchsia to come up. I thought maybe I lost them. And look at this, there he is. I'm so excited. So I really try to wait to see if my fuchsias are coming up, because they do often come up late, sometimes not till the end of June. So it was worth the wait. There he is. And the same thing is true of dahlias. This is really true about dahlias. They will often come up quite late. See this guy just coming up? I have others where you can barely see just the tiniest little sprout out of it. And you really need to watch for slugs, especially right now, because they love that tender new growth. So I slug bait with Pet Safe Sluggo to keep the slugs off my dahlias. And I have other dahlias that look like this. Look, he's gorgeous. He's already 2 feet tall, maybe taller, already a couple feet wide. And I think I'm seeing some, I don't know if I'm seeing buds yet, but so it just goes to show you some of the dahlias are big like this guy. And right next to him, this one is just coming up a little bit. And this guy, check him out. He has slug damage. I already slug baited it once, and I probably need to do it again. See how they're just ripping it off? It's possible for it to be just down to almost nothing. Do you have Sweet William in your garden? Look at this beautiful dark one. It's called Sooty. We have a lot of that all around the garden. See, it's over here too. It's just beautiful. When these flowers get spent, and they're just coming now, so they're not near to spent, but I'm telling you this now because your garden may be ahead of mine. Maybe some of them are spent. Don't cut the flowers off. Let them set seed and drop the seed, because they're a biennial. They produce leaves the first year of their life, flowers the second year, and then they're done. But if you leave the flower heads on, let them go to seed, well, you'll have a beautiful colony like I have this one. This was maybe 5 plants at one point, and now it's just filled in this whole space. And kind of same thing over here. You don't have to plant any new ones. It will just regenerate itself with new ones every year. Okay, how about salvias? Do you have salvias in your garden? Maybe the short ones or the tall ones? So this one is Salvia caridana. It's one of my favorites. This is the Nemorosa salvia. And we have a couple kinds at the nursery. Caridana, this purple one, and a beautiful new pink one, Rose Marble, same family. And they should all be up now, and they should all be blooming like this. That's what they should look like. But you might also have the tall salvias. And what are they doing right now? Are you not seeing them yet? That's because they come up late, typically. So tall salvias like Indigo Spires, Amastad, and Amante, the 3 we carry here, they get to be 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, and they are stunning in bloom. They're just beautiful with all these peach roses behind them. Well, so there's our Salvia Amastad. He's about 12 to 18 inches high, looking good. So is yours up yet? But this is one of them. And look, here's the second one. And he's just coming up. A week ago there was nothing there and I thought we might have lost it, but no, it's there. It just takes a while for them to come up in early summer. Okay, so how about bearded iris? Ours look like this now. They were all these dark velvety purple iris. So what we do is we're gonna trim off the spent flower stalk. So right here with my trusty pruners, I'm gonna take them right in here, right at the base, and just snip that guy off. And we'll just go do that with all of them. That doesn't have to be all the way down, but just snip those out. It'll make it nice, neat, and tidy. And then ours is a reblooming iris. So if you do this, and we try to do this pretty soon, so that the plant will bloom again. Ours will bloom again in September, and I think I had one customer who bought them from us said they even bloomed 3 times that season, but you have to get on it to prune those down. And then bearded iris, often their leaves will look like this, right? You might think, wow, something's wrong with them, they look terrible. Ours are super healthy. I think all bearded iris get these spots, and they'll get worse over time. And so in the next month or so, you know, we have a lot of beautiful clean leaves like this, but when they all look kind of ratty, we're gonna cut them. So we're gonna cut them down to little fans about 6 inches high, and they'll look just like that. They'll be nice and neat, and this whole colony will be super nice and neat, and other things in this part of the garden will take center stage. And lastly, foxglove. Oh, aren't they stunning? We have a lot in the garden this year. I've let them seed everywhere for the last few years. This is the year we're gonna edit and take some out, but not till after they're done blooming. So some of them are almost spent, like this guy right here. So we will just cut his flower stalk almost all the way down. And if there's some of them that have blooms along the sides of them, then you can just leave those to bloom. Like this white one here. Do you see how he's got little flowers on the side that haven't even opened yet? So what I'm gonna do, well, I'm not gonna cut him now because look, he's gorgeous, but when the top is done, then where I would cut it is right here and let these side shoots bloom and take over the show. And then, as I said, in about a month or so when these are done, we'll take some out to make room for other fun plants. That's it for caring for the garden. We looked at Geums and Fuchsias and Salvias and Wallflower, Iris and Foxglove, and I don't know, some other things. Jupiter's beard. Gorgeous day in the garden. Beautiful weekend coming. I hope you're having a great time in your garden and do a little editing and cleanup and getting ready for the great summer ahead of us. Hope to see you out in the garden.